So in the first Republican debate, Donald Trump actually said something that was true. I know, that is news indeed. He talked about money in politics and how when he spent his money in politics, he expected a return. Let's go to that.
And you said recently, quote, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do.
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
If I ask them, if I need them, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand. A lot of money.
Not me. Not me.
I will tell you that our system is broken. I give to many people. Before 2 months ago, I was a businessman. I give to everybody. When they call, I give. And you know what? When I need something from them, 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me.
So
and that's a broken system.
So what'd you get from Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi?
Well, I'll tell you what. With Hillary Clinton, I said, be at my wedding, and she came to my wedding. You know why? She had no choice because I gave.
Now, look, that is a rare moment where it is actual truth-telling. And Donald Trump likes to insult people and call it truth-telling. But in this case, he did give to a lot of people on that stage, and they did do whatever he asked them to do. And whenever he gives to Republicans or Democrats, they do exactly what he wants. That's the whole point. He said in the middle there, I'm a businessman. You think all these businessmen giving millions, tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars to politicians don't expect a return on investment? Come on, get real, man. Now, most of you know that, but most of the mainstream just ignores that as if that isn't the reality. All those people up on that stage, or almost all of them, are bribed. They give legal bribes to these guys. Okay, so now the New York Times gets in some details to give you a sense of how many people actually control our government. And if you think that it's the 300 million Americans, both Donald Trump and the New York Times have some news for you. So far in this election cycle, which, by the way, has barely begun. It hasn't really, the Iowa caucus is months and months from now. And that's the beginning of the process. And already the candidates have received $388 million. You think they got the $388 million because people were interested in their policy positions? Only if it affected their bottom line. All right, to that point, how many people actually donated? Well, just 130 or so families and their businesses provided more than half the money raised through June by Republican candidates and their super PACs. So more than half the money comes from just 130 families. Do they have disproportionate power? Of course they do. Somebody gives $10 million. You think that they're going to have a little bit more say in what that candidate does if he becomes president than you do? There's not a person that's irrational in this country that doesn't understand that. You understand it. The only people who refuse to acknowledge it are the people in Washington and New York. That's part of the reason why Trump is popular, by the way, because everybody on the Republican and the Democratic side is so sick of politics as usual, sick of these politicians that are bought so cheaply and sometimes expensively, as I'll explain. So who's buying them? To peruse the top donors, and New York Times explains, in presidential politics is to take a cross-section of the wealthiest 1% of Americans. At least 67 are billionaires or married to one, according to Forbes. So of the 130 that are giving more than half the money, the 130 people that actually run our government, 67 of them, more than half, are billionaires. So what do we have? We have a plutocracy. We have just a couple of dozen billionaires who run the whole place. You think you're living in a democracy? It's a mirage, man. It ain't a democracy. These guys give the money, and then the politicians do exactly as they are told. Some of the many donors inherited wealth, but many are self-made, publicity-shy investors who earn billions in high-frequency trading, oil men made rich by the fracking boom, and entrepreneurs whose bets in the healthcare industry have made them both wealthy and politically connected. There are polo enthusiasts, sports team owners, and even presidents. Oh, I do declare, after the polo match, let's go buy a politician. Let's see if he becomes president. It's almost like trading places. They're like, okay, I'll take that schmuck. I'll give him 10 million. Oh, yeah, I'll take the other schmuck and I'll give him 10 million. He'll be my bitch. He'll be your bitch. And then we'll see who wins. Oh, I do declare, just like a polo match. Such smashing good times. Where's the democracy in all this? There's no democracy. You think they're going to listen to you? They're not going to listen to you. They're going to listen to Donald Trump back when he was a donor. They're going to listen to these guys today. All right, and do they do their bidding? You betcha. Some examples. The largest single donation to America Leads, a group supporting Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, came from a Boston investor seeking to build a $4 billion casino resort right there in New Jersey. Gee, I wonder why he gave Chris Christie all that money. He wants to build a casino in New Jersey. I can't put that one together. Now, at least 5 donors to Mr. Walker's campaign, and his super PAC actually, are companies that received hundreds of thousands of dollars in aid from Wisconsin's Economic Development Agency, according to state records. So Scott Walker is the governor of Wisconsin. He gets to hand out those contracts, and he happened to hand them out to the people who gave him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oh, golly gee, what a wonderful coincidence. Couldn't have seen that coming. Wolf-pack.com, man. Look, Wolfpack's trying to fix all this thing. We're all warriors. We get out there in the battlefield and we are pushing for an amendment to end this nonsense. Because until you get the money out of politics, look at this. What do you think you have a vote? You're voting between a billionaire guy's bitch, 1, and second billionaire's guy, bitch, 2. Okay, who's it going to be? The billionaires get to select who you're choosing among from. What difference does it make? They're going to give the same tax cuts. Okay, so let's give you a sense of how much or how little people have given to these different campaigns. Now, Jeb Bush has a ton of money. He had 26 different millionaires give him $1 million apiece. Hillary Clinton had 9 incredibly wealthy people give her $1 million apiece. But they're just playing patty cakes because Walker had 4 guys give him $13.5 million of his $20 million. Rubio had 4 guys give him $12.5 million of his $16 million that he's raised, and they're super PACs. Ted Cruz had just 3 families who gave him almost all of the $37 million he raised. And on it goes. Huckabee is, Rand Paul's powered by 2 guys, all incredibly wealthy, obviously. I mean, how else are they going to give millions of dollars? Huckabee's campaign is fueled by only 1 guy, a poultry magnate, and that gave him $3 million, and that's almost all the money that Huckabee has. Now, do you think that his super PAC has? Do you think that when the chicken dude calls Huckabee's going to pick up the phone? Of course he is! You think when you call Huckabee's going to pick up the phone? Fuck no, he's not. He doesn't give a damn about you. He's basically a stalking horse. He's a horse that these guys put money on, and he's going to do exactly what his owner tells him to do. Okay, David Keating is president of Center for Competitive Politics, and he tries to massage all this because they also get money from rich people, and they try to message around this, and they say, now, are they going to return people's phone calls, these politicians that get the donations? Yeah, I'm sure they're going to return people's phone calls, but I don't think it's going to drive policy. Come on, man. Does anybody out there believe that? It's not going to drive policy. He picks up the call. Oh, hey, chicken dude, you gave me $3 million and you'd like your taxes cut, and you'd like to make sure that your plants are not regulated, right? Nah, fuck off. It's not going to drive policy. I took your call. That's all I need to do. Bye. No. He wants the next $3 million. He's going to do exactly what the chicken farmer wants him to do. And all the rest of them, the fracking guys, the entrepreneurs, the hedge fund guys, the private equity guys, all the guys that are giving the money, they're going to get exactly what they want. All right, now at least Chart Westcott, who's a private equity investor, makes it a little clearer. He says, in the donor world, it is primarily a love of economic freedom. In other words, the freedom to keep all their cash and not pay any taxes. Makes it a tiny bit clearer in the next quote. He says, that's the biggest drive for most donors. More prosperity for the country as a whole, as well as for themselves. Yeah, sure. I mean, the country, do you really need bridges and roads and education for your kids? Sure. When you give me tax cuts, I'm sure you kind of get that somehow. But mainly we care about prosperity for ourselves. That's why they're buying the politicians. And finally, we go back to Donald Trump. When asked about his statements in the debate, he made clear exactly what he was buying at the time and how the system is corrupt. Listen.
I contribute to everybody. I was a businessman, a world-class businessman. Yeah, I built a net worth of much more than $10 billion and deal all over the world, and I contributed to everybody, and I let that be known. And frankly, the people in the Tea Party who I love so much, and they seem to like me a lot, everybody understands that. I mean, when I have to go for whatever it is, if I did not, and I'm not saying this is a good thing for the country, Jake, but if I go in for a meeting and I, let's say, stiff somebody, as the expression goes, when they come up to my office, all of a sudden I don't get treatment. So I don't think it's a great thing for the United States. I'm not sure that the system should work that way, but as a businessman, I did what other businessmen did, and I contributed to everybody. Everybody liked me. Everybody took my call, and I got what I wanted. If I go back in 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, they remember that.
I'm a businessman. When I contributed to people, I got whatever I wanted. And you're telling me we live in a democracy? No, we don't, man. It's over. The only way you get it back is if you fight back for it. The only way you get it back is if you get money out of politics. As long as we allow these guys to contribute unlimited money, they will buy every single person run for president. And they'll swamp the people who don't have money with ad after ad after ad and all these campaign workers and all the things that money buys and all the media attention that it brings you. And they will win, and they win 95% of the time in congressional races, okay? 95% of the time, the guy with more money wins. We don't live in a democracy, okay? Just get real about it. Now, we can get it back. We can get it back. And that's, you know how you do that? You do it by fighting them, not by wishful thinking, not by, oh, I introduced a piece of legislation, hope it works out, right? Oh, I didn't get enough votes for it. Oh, well, that's a shame. Give me more money. No. You go get an amendment, whether these guys like it or they don't. If you get an amendment and you put it in the Constitution, there's not a goddamn thing they can do about it. And then, oh, I want to take money from my chicken farmer. I want to take money from the banker. I want to take money from the oil guy. Sorry, you can't take any of their money. You can't take any of their money. Oh, my God, well, how am I going to get the money? You're going to publicly finance elections. Well, oh, but wait a minute, that's going to waste money. No. You giving away trillions of dollars in taxpayer money, that's what wastes money. $40 billion a year that we give the oil companies, tax subsidies. They take your taxes and then they give out subsidies to oil companies. Why? Because they bought all the politicians. That's what wastes all our money. Get all the money out of politics. We can do it, man. Every generation has fought for different issues. Women got the right to vote when none of them could vote in the first place. Blacks got the right to vote. Blacks made it past the civil rights era, the Jim Crow years. They fought for their civil rights, and they won on those civil rights when they lived in the most oppressive governments there were down in the South. But they won anyway. Yeah, they took a couple of batons. Okay, yes, they went through incredible pain and suffering sometimes, but they won because they fought. If you lie down, then these guys, the rich, are going to laugh at you. And they're going to say, these idiots think they live in a democracy. They wave their American flags. They go die for us in the wars that we start to make an extra buck. And we laugh at them and think, how pathetic. We run this place. That's what they're saying behind your back. Now, are you going to fight or are you just going to sit there? Wolf-pack.com. Become a warrior. All we need is 1,000 warriors, man. That's it. Out of a country of 300 million people, we have 1,000 guys. Not like, hey, I volunteered a little bit, or I did this, or I did that. No, you come and you fight with us, okay? We go down to the state level. I guarantee you we get an amendment and clean up the whole thing. And get America, funny enough, ironically, in Donald Trump's words, to be great again, to be a democracy again. We can do it together. If we're not united and you're just sitting at home and not fighting back, then the billionaires win. The 67 billionaires who control our politicians will run the country forever unless you get that amendment. Your call, man. You either do something or you do nothing. What are you about? Wolf-pack.com.